Yeah. For me and the Lord,
Mm-hmm.
we got an understanding.
What's that understanding?
We're on a mission from God.
Yeah, man, on a mission from God. It's Aaron Dave and a different kind of Patrick today. It's P-Funk from Faithhead on the Rock Salt MUZKAST Experience.
Putting the band back together. We're on a mission from God.
And this week, we're going to talk about all kinds of stuff.
Matt, me and Elwood, putting the band back together.
Ma'am, you got to understand, this is a lot bigger than any domestic problems you might experience.
Would it make you feel any better if you knew that what we're asking Matt here to do is a holy thing?
You see, we're on a mission from God.
We're going to talk about the greatest president in history, Joe Biden, and his crackhead son, Hunter.
Then you lie to me.
Folks, I'll tell I'll help us not going down any rabbit holes. Okay.
God.
No, we're going to talk about Israel and Palestine and Gaza, and I don't know. We'll get some different viewpoints on
Chicago,
what's going on out there.
half a pack of cigarettes.
A very important subject.
Wearing sunglasses. Hit it.
Yeah. For me, I just I've got my viewpoint, and I'm kind of respecting everybody else's viewpoint. I'm not fighting with anybody about it. Maybe I'm just getting older and don't want to fight anymore.
I was just thinking, is this my friend Dave?
Yeah. I'm a lover, not a fighter.
Yeah.
Goodness.
What's that?
God, people having.
Yeah.
Oh man. I will.
What?
I just wanted to say, is this turning over a new leaf?
No.
Not, okay.
No.
Okay.
It's just I go
All
through
right.
phases where
Okay.
every fighter needs a break to, What do you have?
You sound like a boxer who gets it. No, I'm just gonna box this time.
Yeah.
As soon as he gets hit, it's a slugfest.
Yeah. I might bite someone's ear off.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. There's a UFC fight tonight, and the guy, I love watching this guy because he gets knocked out or he knocks out the guy.
Yeah.
It's just, there's no middle ground. There's no decision with this guy, and it's exciting. So, yes, yeah. And so,
What do UFC fighters typically do after a big match? Don't they celebrate with some kind of big meal or something?
well,
that
it's
they shouldn't be
heavyweight, so
doing?
they don't have to starve themselves.
But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They kind of break from training and treat themselves a little for a celebration. I would assume, I don't know for a fact, but I would assume. No?
Yeah. I think you're correct. in
Oh.
that. They celebrate. It's over in Brazil, so I don't know if there's any ticket fees over there, so we were talking about earlier.
Well,
the ticket fees.
let me get on this fee thing.
Okay.
Because we were, before we started the show, we were all discussing our lovely politicians and what a great job they do because they work so hard and make millions of dollars
for themselves.
Working so hard. Yeah. Working so hard.
Not actually working a job, working the system.
Yeah.
That's how they make millions of dollars.
Working, bro.
Okay.
But there's not often, it's happened once or twice that I agree with AOC on something. I think she's an idiot. I think she's a total idiot. Okay. And she's a mouthpiece. If you think for 1 minute that anything that she says comes straight from her, think again. I saw her on on one of the congressional hearings.
Yeah.
And I forget, I think it was the Matt Taibbi thing, but she was trying to question somebody about what was going on over at Twitter. And she wasn't coming up with any of her own questions. You could see somebody behind her kept handing her pieces of paper and she was reading them. She didn't come up with anything on her own. And I'm not saying they all do or anything like that, but I think like Chip Roy, I don't think he needs somebody to write his questions for him.
No.
But this is one of the things I do agree with her on, which is, can we do away with the hidden fees on everything? And I'm going to tell you my experience because this happened last weekend. We went to Reno to see Bill Burr. And he was funny. Yeah, I'll tell you one of the things that was really funny was he even said it. He's like, none of these jokes are landing, because he would tell a Democrat joke and all the Republicans would cheer. And then he'd tell a Republican joke and all the Democrats would cheer. And he goes, don't get me wrong, I hate both of you guys, but then he's like, well, he tried a Jesus joke, and I'm going to say about 25% of the audience laughed at it. And he goes, oh, you're a religious crowd, aren't you? And everybody cheered. So nothing was going right for Bill that night, but it was still a good show. Excuse me. But we bought a room, my friend paid for 2 rooms at the Silver Legacy. We prepaid them, and it was like $140 a room. Silver Legacy's pretty nice resort, downtown Reno. And and by the way, for anybody that doesn't know, Gina Carano, you know who Gina Carano is, right? The UFC fighter. She was also kicked off The Mandalorian.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Huh?
I got little pieces of plastic of her shaped in her form.
Okay. Well, it's her. I believe it's her dad, but it could be her uncle that owns the Silver Legacy. So when everybody's trying to cancel Gina Carano, yeah, she's pretty well off, I'm going to tell you. So, but that's the nice thing about having lots of money. You don't have to worry about what other people think. Silver Legacy, nice resort and all that. I knew I was going to have fees on the Bill Burr tickets. No big deal. Whatever. It is what it is. I have figured out that when you buy 2 or 3 tickets from Ticketmaster, plan on buying one more. That will cover the fees.
Yes.
Okay. And yes, I bought the tickets through Ticketmaster, but the venue is owned by the Silver Legacy. So this was a Silver Legacy weekend. We get out there. I expect to pay my $150 security deposit for the room. Totally expected. No problem. The young man that was checking us in hands me a bill for $550. And I went, what is this about? $550? He goes, yeah, there's $100 security deposit. I said, okay, where's the other $450? And he goes, well, see, you booked your room through Expedia. I said, oh, wait, I booked it through AAA. He goes, yeah, but they went through Expedia. Okay. And we've had a problem with Expedia paying us. So you have to pay for the room until we get our money from Expedia. And I went, well, this sounds like a you problem, not a me problem. Go get your money. I paid for it. It's not my problem. I shouldn't have to pay again, not to mention pay 4 times the price.
So you were expecting $250.
I was expecting $150 on top of what we had already paid.
Oh, you've already paid for the room. Okay.
Yeah, we prepaid for the room.
Okay.
So then we went down, and my buddy bought a beer for like $12 at the bar and slipped $100 bill into a penny machine, and it was gone in 5 minutes.
That's gambling for you.
Yes. So we that's why I don't typically gamble, because I spent 20 years living in Reno, and I don't know. I feel really depressed when I walk out of a casino with no money. I go, man, I could have done so much more with $100.
Well, I think, when I bought my tickets for New Kids on the Block for my birthday next year, the fees, they told me the total cost of the tickets before. And so I think we're getting somewhere with, letting people know what the total cost is.
This time around, I'm not targeting Live Nation just yet, or Ticketmaster, same thing, with the fees. I'm going to get to that. But so we got, this huge charge on the hotel, and you can go read my Yelp about what I really felt about everything, because it's out there. I figured it out financially for the 3 of us. Now, I did get my $550 back, but for the 3 of us, for one night in Reno with the tickets to the show, what we paid to eat, everything, $2,000. $2,000. Insane.
Yeah.
That's insane. Now, $1,100 of that was those $550 fees that we got back. All right. But when I go to the coffee shop at the Silver Legacy / El Dorado, and eggs and sausage is $20. $20 at the coffee shop. Ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Okay. It was the middle of the night. I was kind of held hostage at that point because where am I going to go? Right. But anyways,
Well, there's other casinos in town, so
not really, not downtown Reno.
not downtown.
Circus, El Dorado, and Silver Legacy. That's pretty much it anymore, man.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean,
no Cal Neva, no somewhere.
well,
else
the Cal Neva, but that's like the Cal Neva.
is far away.
Well, no,
Okay.
it's a couple of blocks away. We didn't want to walk anywhere. It was like
Okay.
1 o'clock in the morning, but it's also Cal Neva is like where the meth heads hang out.
I see.
You know,
Is that what it costs? $30 for at Waffle House for ham and eggs?
oh, I love Waffle House. Waffle House is awesome. They had a Waffle House in Colorado Springs. I love that place. It's inexpensive. You know exactly what you're getting. And sometimes, depending on the time that you go in there might be a show.
Best colon cleansing you'll ever pay for under $10.
Exactly. Honestly, I wish we had a Waffle House out here in California.
Yeah, we don't. We have
No.
we have Denny's.
Yeah,
So-
it's not the same, bro.
It's probably not.
It's not the same. You should have hit Waffle House when you were out there, man.
I had a friend that lives in Florida and lived here for a long time, became close friends. He compared Waffle House to Denny's. And so
No, it's a step
No.
below.
it's a
No.
step below.
It's a step
No.
below,
It's a
Denny's.
step below. Okay.
Denny's is fine dining compared to Waffle
Yes, that's
House.
what I was about to say.
Okay. All right. I'm sorry to anybody who's ever worked at a Denny's, owned a Denny's,
You know what
that listens to the show. You know, I will get with my friend and tell him that do not compare them.
What's that little tiny diner that's downtown Sacramento? Jim something.
Oh, it closed.
Yeah, closed. But that
They're reopening it.
Yeah.
Someone bought it and they're gonna reopen
yeah,
it.
but that's what I would compare a Waffle House
Oh,
to.
Jim Denny's is above Denny's to me.
But I mean, as far as like, it's just a little dirty diner.
yeah.
And everything's fried or made on the griddle. You know, there's
Yeah.
nothing healthy about a Waffle House. Am I correct?
Oh, good Lord.
Defunct.
No.
That was the only place that I really wanted to go when on my trip to the South that I did not go.
Oh,
and
man.
so
There are so many things you have to do when you come to the South. Have you had a Crystal Burger yet?
no,
It's
where
the
is that?
Southern
at?
White Castle.
Yeah, okay, it's a Southern White Castle. Okay. We
Yeah.
went to the Cookout, which I loved.
Nah,
You don't
I
like the
don't care
Cookout?
for
Okay. My wife's a huge ice cream fan. So
Oh, well, okay. There
40
you go.
40 different flavors of shakes. We're there.
Actually, that sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
just
know,
don't eat the food.
don't eat the food. Just
You
get
know,
the shakes.
We had the food one night. We were in South Carolina and it wasn't bad.
I will tell you this, B-Funk. Aaron is the very positive, happy side of this relationship here. And I am more of the realistic, this is BS kind of side of stuff. Getting back to the Silver Legacy, I did have, as Shane told me, you're being a Karen. I did have a Karen moment. And I said, it's not a Karen moment, it's a Snickers moment, because I was hungry. I didn't have my rock star. I didn't have any of my morning stuff. And I'm standing after paying all this money to be there. The service was not, I felt, up to standard for what I paid. Okay.
I'm gonna bring some Snickers next week.
Yeah. So
Next week's show. Here's a Snickers.
then I go and I check out, and I fully expected, because they all do it, the resort fee. which that gets under my skin too. But it gave me a receipt. It didn't even say resort fee on it. It just said $40. That's all it said. Here's a receipt for $40. Well, what's the $40 for? I have no idea. $40. That's what it's for. So now we're standing in a line to get on the elevators to go to the parking garage. And I'm a little
is that where you lost it?
Yeah, that's where I lost it, because the elevators are inside this little foyer type thing that you go in a corridor and there's a foyer. You like all these big words I'm using?
Yeah.
And there's a Silver Legacy worker there, and he's like just waving people in while we're all standing in line. And I see all these people going in with all their luggage and everything. And I just went, hey, there's people standing in line over here, right? And he goes, well, they're going to the stairs. And I didn't believe him, because these people had a lot of luggage. And that's what I said. Those people are carrying a lot of luggage to huff up and, up the stairs. And so I walked over there, and sure enough, they were going to the stairs. But I did publicly apologize to him and everybody else. I said, I'm sorry, my bad. I shouldn't have done that. My apologies. You're right. Okay. So, if it didn't make it to YouTube, I'm sure whoever recorded it cut that part out. So I just look like a jerk. But
the internet wouldn't have it any other way.
Right.
That's right.
But anyhow, my biggest thing, and like I said, was all totaled for that weekend, we put out $2,000, and I didn't even get a thank you. Thank you, Mr. Peril. Thank you, Mr. Beaton. I would have appreciated that. Didn't get any of it. Okay. So fast forward to this week is I get a notification, because my wife loves New Kids on the Block, as you mentioned, right? So I was going to be super husband and try to get her the VIP. I got the notification from my credit card. Hey, you get, early access VIP, Wednesday. I was like, right on, I'm there. I'm going to make this happen. And I set aside $500, budgeted $500, because I figured that's what VIP would be worth, especially if, I don't know if there is, but especially if there's a meet and greet involved. Right. So, I'm in the line. Boom, I hit the tickets. Yeah, I got them. You got the tickets. They're $371 a piece. And I went, all right, $700. Yeah, well, it's a little over budget, but I'll make it work. Right. And then I get to check out, and the total price was $1,000 because, well, fees, $1,000. And I went, that's insane. I'm not doing that. And this gets back to what we were talking about before we jumped on the show, which is I would really like to see our politicians stop arguing with each other long enough to maybe do some work. Y'all talked about, hey, let's do some law about these hidden fees, like resort fees and ticket fees and service fees and fees. And, we're not going to mail it to you. You get a digital fee. And you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well,
and I haven't seen any of that.
Well, then you got tourist fees, and then you got, if you ever go to Gatlinburg, Tennessee, they love their fees up there. They got some I've never even heard of.
They got breathe in the air fee.
They got
exhale fee.
The fee for have to create fees.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the night I stayed in Gatlinburg, I didn't see any, exorbitant fees on the hotel. But stayed for 2 nights.
But you gotta, is Gatlinburg a big tourist city?
Oh yes.
Oh yeah.
Is it? It's like Tahoe.
It's where Florida goes to vacation.
Yeah, it's
is it in Florida? Where is it at?
No, it's in Tennessee. It's like Tennessee. 2 hours from my house.
Yeah.
Oh, well, you should have just stayed with P-Funk then.
You should.
Yeah.
You could have charged him like crashing on my couch fee.
I have a spare guest room, and then we have the the laundry fee and the doing the linens and
well, that was
my paper fee for using the toilet paper.
Yeah, yes. The toilet paper fee, the flush fee.
It's free Wi-Fi.
That was the other thing.
Free,
Well, that's the
and
other
parking,
thing.
free
Yeah,
parking and Wi-Fi.
that's
Parking
the other
and
thing.
Wi-Fi.
That's the other
Yes.
thing that got me about the resort fee at the Silver Legacy was I came back, I looked at my reservation or whatever confirmation from AAA, and it says you're going to incur this resort fee. I knew it was going to be there. I'm not complaining about that, but it says that the resort fee is to cover incidentals like the pool, Wi-Fi, the spa, all the things I didn't use, the gym. I was there for one night. I didn't use any of those things. So why should I be subject to that fee?
And did they give you? Oh, we're sorry, sir. We can't discount that. We charge that to everybody.
Well, I will say this. A few years ago, when they started this whole hidden resort fee thing, I went to the Westin Hotel in Las Vegas. And that was the weekend that I got to go meet the mobster, Frank Collada. And me and my buddy were staying there, and I got the bill at the end. And now I was standing in line behind this guy who was just berating the girl behind the counter over resort fees. Okay, because they're hidden fees. They don't tell you about these things. They just hit you with another couple $100 on exit, and they got your card, and you've signed away your rights, so they're just going to take your money. And this guy was just up and down this girl, and I felt bad for her. So what am I standing in line for? My, $80 in resort fees, or because I only stayed like 2 or 3 nights, whatever it was. And I went up to the same girl who's the guy, by the way, is stepped aside because he's waiting for a supervisor. So I ended up going to that same girl, and I went, hey, look, I'm really sorry. I wasn't aware that these fees would be on this thing. And I'm traveling kind of on a budget, and I wasn't lying. I just wasn't aware of any of this, and I didn't use any of these things. And can you help me out on this? And she went, absolutely. Let me take that off for you. She did it right in front of the guy who was complaining about all the fees.
Nicely done. Nicely
Yeah.
done.
It's all in how you treat people. And I worked in the car rental industry for 17 years. And let me tell you something. When you get to that rental car counter, when you get to that hotel check-in desk, and when you check out of both of those places, be super friendly to the person helping you, because they have dealt with 100 jerks all day. And all you got to do to be the superhero and get everything that you want is be kind. That's all you got to do. And if there's a problem, be kind about it. Let's solve this. We have a problem.
Hey, to answer your question, I stayed at Cars Northside Motel and Cottages 2 nights for $123, and I paid $13 in taxes and fees. So
Where was it in Sevierville, or was it in Gatlinburg proper?
It was in Gatlinburg.
Okay.
We
Well,
were
that's amazing.
Yeah, the rooms were on like 40% discount. There's no doubt that I was choosing rooms that were at a discount because it was a last minute. We decided last minute to go to Gatlinburg and had a great time. And so, but Sevierville, or whatever that's called, and
We got 3. You got 3 places. You got Sevierville,
yep,
which is right on the the interstate there.
Yeah.
And then you've got Pigeon Forge, which is between Sevierville and
Gatlinburg.
and then you got to go on up to Gatlinburg. So,
Yeah, we were close enough to walk to the main strip where they have the shops and stuff. So had a great time. But was looking for a cheap room, and I was pleasantly surprised to find that, and it was really nice. So the room was nice. So
well, ever since they had the fire up there, it really changed that place a lot, because I mean it burnt, a lot of it burnt to the ground.
Wow.
I don't know if you remember that or not in the news.
No, I didn't remember that.
We live in California. We're better than that. We really don't care about those
Y'all
southern
burn your whole
states out
state
there.
down.
Yeah. A fire,
That's every Tuesday,
You
right?
guys, yeah, those things that like what was that movie with it was Sarah Jessica Parker and Steve Martin about something about life in LA. I don't remember the name of the movie. LA is in the name of the movie. But there was a joke in there about how there was this whole big earthquake and then just, everybody wrote it out and then just moved on with life.
Oh yeah.
That's life in California. It's like, there's another earthquake.
Oh, now, since half the California is burned to the ground with the forest fires and all that. Oh, there's another forest fire.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Oh, hey, it's May. It's forest fire season.
Yeah. It's
We
tough.
don't-
It's tough
we
to
don't go
breathe
ahead.
here because it's so smoky. But I survived COVID, so I'm okay.
We don't call it summer out here anymore. We just call it forest fire season.
Yes. Yeah.
Y'all got to get into controlled burns.
No, those are bad for the environment.
Yeah.
Well, so is burning all the state too. So you got to pick and choose.
We don't like to do that here.
Yeah.
See,
here's the grift, the real grift on this. We can't do control burns because if we did control burns, then we wouldn't have the forest fires. And if we didn't have the forest fires, then we couldn't beg you for money for climate change.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Grift.
Yeah, that is the grift. And there's so many stupid people out there that just follow it without reading. I'm sorry, just read something.
Yeah.
But I
Don't
want
get me
to
started.
Oh, I know.
we're about to get you started though. Here we go.
So I've got a lot on my mind. I don't think I've done a show since October 7th. So I've got a lot on my mind about what happened in Israel. And I know that my views are going to, I'll say it, piss a lot of people off. And I've had some things said to me that normally I think you would think that I would just, go for somebody's throat on what they said. But I went, well, that's your opinion, but here's the facts, anyways, so I'm not hating anybody or anything like that for what their views are. Well, there is a but in there, and I'll get to that as we talk. But this thing in Israel, I was watching it on TV. I don't want to say as it was happening, but not long after it was happening, right? It was kind of like watching 9/11, wasn't it?
Pretty
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
I mean, just the atrocities and everything. I will never, ever get the image of that poor girl at the festival who was being dragged away on the motorcycle while she was screaming, arms held out for her boyfriend who was being led away somewhere else. I'll never forget that. These terrorists flying in on paragliders, and it was really odd. It was really odd because before I saw any of the news, some little video of these paragliders training popped up on my feed, and I went, wow, that's kind of interesting. And then I went, oh, wow, crazy. Okay.
Did either of y'all get to read my Substack on all this?
No.
No, I didn't. And I guess I have to resubscribe because I'm not getting the notification anymore. So maybe I have to resubscribe.
I think you sent it to me though, and I didn't.
Yeah,
I didn't
but
read it.
I am subscribed to it, and so
honestly, P-Funk, I forgot it was there. I would have read it before today's show.
Yeah.
I forgot it was there.
Killing me, Smalls.
yeah.
All right.
So
All right.
can you
Summarize for
us, please?
Well, man, it's I don't know where to begin. There's a lot of it. I'm gonna post the link in the chat.
You want me to read while I'm doing this?
No. I'm gonna try to summarize.
I'm not Joe Rogan. I don't have a Jamie here to do this stuff for me.
No, it's fine. There's a lot of videos that you got to watch. Man, I think a lot of it's a trap.
How so?
Well, okay. Back in September, 2 weeks before this happened, there's been a lot of movement of troops. There's been a lot of there's been a lot of positioning and meetings and, China buddying up to Russia and, Iran, hitting. Iran has done a lot of stuff, and they've been flexing their muscles, attacking, ships in the Gulf. They just recently denied, before all this happened, they denied the nuclear inspection teams yet again. So, and I posted on Facebook and I just added it to my article. It looks like this little axis of evil is trying to trap the United States in a multi-front world conflict, because it seems like we're going to have to choose at some point, because we can't be sending billions of dollars to Ukraine. Now we're, and the one thing I do like is that with the new House Republican leadership is they didn't lump all the aid together. They sent specific, 15 billion to Israel, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Yes, they did.
The only one I see winning out of all this is China, because now you had the world focused in Ukraine. Well, now it's focused in Gaza. And so you got literally two fronts happening right now. So how many billions of dollars have we sunk into Ukraine? Are we at $1 trillion yet? We got to be close or halfway there.
I'm gonna throw this out here because maybe you haven't seen this. This is I don't want to call it breaking news. I think I saw the headline yesterday, but 17 hours ago, NBC reported U.S. and European officials have begun quietly talking to the Ukrainian government about what possible peace negotiations with Russia might entail to end the war, according to one current senior U.S. official and one former senior U.S. official familiar with the discussion, which tells me that America is maybe leaning on Ukraine going, hey, we got a real problem over here. We can't keep laundering money through you. Right. You guys are going to have to figure this out. Now, I'm not any expert in geography, let alone Eastern Europe geography. But I do remember that Chernobyl was in Ukraine, which was run by the Russians back in the 80s. I don't know how all that broke down after that, but I mean, I don't want to sound like a Putin sympathizer, but is he right that, Ukraine is part of Russia?
Well, it's the gateway. I mean, I think the irony of all of this, and I don't know how much y'all study world geography. Of course, I'm a nerd. Maps in a lot of these conflicts really come into play. The issue that Putin has with Ukraine becoming a part of NATO, that literally puts all of his enemies on his doorstep. And geographically, there's nothing geographically in between Ukraine and Moscow. It's an indefensible position. It's just kind of like the Russians when they put up, you had Eastern Western Germany. They wanted a buffer zone. And that's still the same thing that Putin wants. He doesn't want a NATO friendly country sitting right on his border. Now, by him attacking Ukraine, it had the opposite effect, because you got all these, other countries that have now joined NATO because they invaded Ukraine. So they kind of undid
what they wanted.
Yeah. But I mean, in a tactical and geographic perspective, Ukraine and Gaza are very similar because it's another indefensible position. You know what I'm saying? You can't really fortify it. You know, it's very open. And so Ukraine and Gaza are very similar in that aspect, that you can't just, you know, there's no mountainous region to set up, fortresses or bunkers or whatever. I mean, it's flat. It's just flat. It's flat land. And, you know, the last thing, you know, Putin wants is NATO forces sitting right on his doorstep, and there's nothing geographically to stop people from invading. In Gaza, you know, you also got to remember, guys, it wasn't just Gaza that was part of the problem. The U.S. was being attacked. There were 13 attacks on U.S. bases and military in Syria at the same time. This was a coordinated attack from Hamas and Hezbollah, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was a Hezbollah that took claim.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's hard to all these names, but yeah, Hezbollah. So, you know, it's just crazy, you know, I don't believe in coincidences. It wasn't just the Gaza attack, it was the 13 other attacks that kind of happened roughly around the same time. So you just, I mean,
well,
what do you do?
Not to make light of the situation or anything like that, but Joe Rogan has a comedy album. It's an old one called Shiny Happy Jihad. And he was describing Osama bin Laden as a supervillain. And he goes, this is the craziest world that we live in. It's like something out of like James Bond or something like that, where this guy, you know, like Austin Powers, Dr. Evil, I want $1 billion. You know what I mean? It's not government like we think of the American government with our military. You know, these are crazy terrorist organizations that we're teaching and funding, by the way. We teach and fund them, but
you know, we're still funding the Taliban.
Yes.
Yeah, we fund them all.
Yeah.
You know why? This is the most by the way, I'll put a disclaimer on this. I'm going to have a very simplistic view on a lot of this. Okay? But this is what I always say. Every hero needs a villain. Every hero needs a villain. And if we're not fighting Russia, we're fighting Hamas. If we're not fighting Hamas, we're fighting Taliban. If we're not fighting Taliban, we're fighting Hezbollah. You know what I mean? We need a villain because we need to be the good guys.
Well, there's no profit in peace.
Right. There really isn't.
Oh, there we go.
There's no profit in peace.
Let's get down to the brack tacks right there.
okay.
You know, the bottom level.
The industrial
that is.
complex.
Oh, yes, that's what it is.
The U.S. wants war with Iran. It wants it. And if you, I don't know if you watched the 2 videos that I sent you, but
I did.
But Wednesday, you did or didn't?
I did.
Okay. So you saw what happened on Wednesday, right?
Which video are we talking about?
It's the one where Congress has. Okay, go back and watch it. The Congress is preparing to go.
Oh, the 559 or whatever it was.
Yeah. They're signing stuff into law to go to war with Iran.
Right.
And here's the problem, and I'm going to shut up for a minute. You can't, if you go to war with Iran, it's going to start other dominoes to fall. Now, let me back up for a minute.
I think there's a song out there, When Dominoes Fall.
Yeah, funny. I know a band that put that out. Anyways, I mean, first of all, I just want to say Hezbollah and Hamas are evil. I am not defending them. They're not freedom fighters. If they were freedom fighters, they wouldn't be decapitating, infants, the elderly, and the sick. They wouldn't be, I mean, they're barbarians. They're 3rd century barbarians that have a lot to, basically are trapped in their religion's ideological mindset from the 3rd century. it is evil and it needs to be opposed. But you have to look at the larger game here. There's three-dimensional chess happening here. If the US attacks Iran, you automatically get to go to war with Russia. That's really their strongest ally. Now you could say North Korea, but no, they've been trading partners for a long, long time. I mean, Iran and Russia are in bed together and slick beneath the sheets. And it's just how it is. So the minute you go to war with Iran, you're going to be at war with Russia. Here's the other problem with going to war with Iran. You can't defeat them. It's not a single person. You know, the Ayatollah is not the ruler. There's 10,000 mullahs in there. They will survive. The only thing that we can really do about Iran is weaken it and contain it. But there's not a single bloodline, a single dictator that you can take out. That there's no head of the snake to chop off. It just does not exist in Iran. It's not going to happen. The only
What do you do with
benefiting
with Qatar though?
The only country that's benefiting from this is China. China is enjoying the distraction of the US in Ukraine, in Gaza, and soon to be Iran. And then they're going to try, and I have no doubts after the first of the year, they will try an invasion of Taiwan. And then the United States will have a war on 3 fronts that it will have to choose which one it wants to participate. Of course, Russia has to decide which war it wants to participate in, because it will now have it's got a shooting war on its front step in Ukraine. And then will they prefer to go shoot in their allies' backyard or stay at home? And they're already weakened as it is. All right, I'm going to shut up for a minute.
What do you do about what do you? I want to ask you this: what do you do about Qatar, who has the Hamas leadership in their state?
How is that said? By the way, is it Qatar, Qatar, or
I heard Qatar?
I heard it one up. I heard
Qatar.
One, yeah, I heard one other pronunciation of it. I wondered, or Qatar. That was the other pronunciation.
Qatar,
yeah.
I'm like, well, what is it? Qatar, Qatar.
Our enemy.
Yeah.
What do you do about them? Because they're clearly housing the leaders of Hamas and well, let's put it like this. What I think is going to happen is Israel's going to go, give us them, or we're coming after you. After they're done with the Palestinian government, they're not going to stop. Netanyahu will be out of power if they don't crush the Palestine people.
Well, I don't know. I don't think it's Palestine people that's the problem. I think it's Hamas.
Yeah,
but let me shed some light on this.
No. He will put a dent in them though, because again, there's young kids there that believe in this stuff, and so you have to put a dent in everything what they're doing, and then I think they go after Hamas that are staying in I guess we got Qatar or whatever you want to call it. Qatar.
But that's the trap.
But give us them or we're coming after you.
So
next.
Let me throw some light on this. And as I said before, it's going to be all very simplistic, but here's my feeling in this Israeli Palestine Hamas thing is there's 3 actors involved. As I just mentioned them, there's the Israelis, there's the Palestinians, and then there's Hamas. Now there was a poll from Al Jazeera, and I know that a lot of people respect Al Jazeera. I don't, but I think Al Jazeera reported what they had, but I still don't think that they're accurate because they reported about 50%, 56% of Palestinians support Hamas. And
of course,
if you're under Hamas rule, why would you say, "Oh no, I hate those guys"? Who are the 44%? They're not around anymore.
But see, this is the trap. The trap is they are trying to bait the nation of Israel and the United States into doing something so horrific that they will lose favor on the world stage. That's the trap.
Well, and it's working.
It is working. But
And-
you can't
and-
fight a politically correct war. It just doesn't happen.
But
there's
let me
casualties.
let me tell you one of the things that concerns me. Let me tell you one of the things that concerns me, and it doesn't have to do with war so much as it does with indoctrination. My neighbor is Iranian. He's from Iran. His dad still lives there, and he tells me all kinds of things. Like when I see something on the news like this, I go to him because his dad's there. And so like when there were the riots, you remember the protests and the riots over the treatment of women in Iran, he was telling me, hey, look, nobody wants the Ayatollah there. They don't want that rule. They want the freedom that they had like in the 50s. They want that. But they're under this Muslim rule. But he also told me that, when I was in grade school, he said they laid out an American flag on the ground in class, and they had the kids all line up and jump on it, wipe their feet on it, disrespect it in whatever way they wanted to. Now, he said that he refused to do that because he didn't feel that it was right to do that to anyone's flag. But it's being indoctrinated into these kids, and I'm going to go back to Palestine. It's being indoctrinated into the Palestinian kids to hate America, hate Israel, hate all these people because they hate you, death to America, all this stuff. You know what I mean? And how do you root that out as they become older? And I'm seeing it happen here.
That's what P-Funk was talking about with Iran.
Yeah.
There's no way to root that out.
No.
Yeah.
You just have to punish it so much that they think twice about doing something evil.
But the punishment is only going to make them hate us more.
Again, we aren't sitting here still talking about ISIS, are we? So I mean, we have done we have done enough damage to ISIS that they are no more.
Right.
And you can do that.
Who did the damage to ISIS? Who was in charge of that? Come on. Who was?
Well, us.
Who? But who was in charge during that time?
Well, I mean, Bush and them. I mean, Trump. Yeah.
Trump was the one bringing peace out there. I mean, it was coming slow, but he was making headway. And, when he took office, the Taliban and ISIS were, I was like, what are we going to do about these people? And yeah, you don't hear about ISIS all that much anymore. And the only reason you hear about the Taliban is because our current president handed them a country and all our weapons.
Well, if you want to get biblical about it,
okay,
we're basically talking about a nation of people where we'll just say a third are so indoctrinated, so fanatical that there's no way they're going to turn to understanding that, what they're zealots at this point. There's no turning them away. So the only way that you can try to exterminate them, but there's no separating the wheat from the chaff in this. And are we talking about the extermination of, these zealous Iranian people? Yeah, this is what we're talking about. It's just like in the Bible when God said to wipe out the Canaanites and the Jebusites and I think there's 5 others. This is this is a moral decision that somebody has to make, because we're talking about stopping evil. You know, the problem is we are so far from objective truth in our culture, in our society, that we cannot see the clear and black and white good and evil issue here. So if you go back to World War II, you knew the Nazis were the bad guys. Well, according to this history book, it was black and white.
Well, let's put a disclaimer on this too. You're not supporting Nazis, are you?
No, I'm not. No, I had
Okay.
family fight the Nazis in France. Thank you. No pro-Nazism here. All I'm saying is, it was, according to history, it was very black and white who the bad guy was. It should be very clear and black and white who the bad guys are in this situation. Now, I understand a lot of people look at Putin like a, crazy maniacal dictator. I don't know if I see him exactly in that light. I know he's, old KGB, but I mean, to me, some of his complaints, are rational as a leader defending a country's sovereignty. But Iran, on the other hand, is not. They are exporting and supporters of terrorism.
Yeah.
And Iran has to be stopped, but that's the problem. And the other part of this is, everybody needs to understand this whole attack by Hamas has nothing to do with the Palestinians. It has everything to do with Israel trying to normalize relations in the Middle East.
Yes.
Well, they were about to sign
Yeah.
Right.
a peace agreement with Saudi Arabia.
And
Correct.
yeah. And they feel that, well, quote unquote, the experts, by the way, any talking head, quote unquote, expert, they could be an expert in, I don't know, growing plants. And hey, we got an expert here. Let's get his views on Israel. Don't listen to the experts. However, this expert said that he feels that this war has pushed that off by at least 20 years. Saudi Arabia is not going to come near Israel and try to create peace for at least 20 years until after this is all over.
No, they're afraid that they'll be attacked.
Yeah. So, you got a powder keg out there. Let me run down my feelings on all of this, because mine are probably more domestic than foreign. Okay. My views on this, which is, I relish, that's a good word for this. I relish pointing out the hypocrisy of not just the left, although most times it's the left because they're pretty big hypocrites, but I point out the hypocrisy of the right as well. I hate hypocrisy. I don't, I'll throw the gauntlet down here. I don't think you're a man. I don't think you're a real man if you're talking out both sides of your mouth. Okay. And so when this started, let me just run down my timeline here. When this started, I'm watching it on the news, horrified at watching all these videos. And I don't know all the details of Palestine and Israel and all that. I do know that Israel gave up Gaza in 2005. I also know that we have a book around here called the Bible, which is a pretty good history book, in my opinion, written by men of the time as it was happening. So I consider it a pretty good history book. The Jews were in Israel, in that land, dating back thousands of years. Am I correct? Or am I wrong?
No, you'd be correct.
Am I correct, P-Funk? Turn your mute off. Turn your mute off. He's muted. You got to turn mute. He's talking. There you go.
Sorry, my there was noise in the background here, and I didn't want it to bleed over. Are we
That's
talking
okay.
about when Abraham settled in that region? How far are we going back?
Yeah, well, I mean, we're going back years. I have a timeline actually I just couldn't find it because it's on my Facebook feed and I post a lot of stuff. So I would have had to go back weeks to find it. But
Well, anybody that's researched this knows that Palestine is not an actual place. It's a political mechanism.
right.
Yes.
Okay.
And if you don't know that and you're listening, you need to go do some reading.
Yeah, need to educate yourself, and I don't say that in a negative way. I just say you
Well,
need to
'cause a lot of
educate
people don't
yourself.
know.
Yeah, I didn't know. I had met a Palestinian, worked with a Palestinian about 10 years ago, and man, his hatred for Israel and the Jews was I don't know that I could. I mean, you could see the hatred in his eyes and his face. He just did not like them at all. Now, and by the way, to me, he was a nice coworker. We talked all the time and, you know, that sort of thing. But when that subject came up, man, now, but according to the Bible, the Jews were there. They're not colonists that settled in 75 years ago. They were there thousands of years ago. And if we as Americans are going to go, well, we need to give our land back to the Native Americans because we stole it from them, well, then your argument has to be the Palestinians need to give up their land because it truly was the Israelis to begin with, the Jews to begin with. I'm just speaking in metaphors and stuff, you know, but you understand what I'm getting at, right?
Yeah, it's an interesting parallel that you're drawing there. Though, you know, the majority of the Native Americans, you know, we didn't kill them directly. I mean, most died.
Well,
I think like 75% died of smallpox.
I think that some people would argue that the Trail of Tears was us killing them directly.
Well, that's my ancestors right there. So
okay.
I mean, I'm not going to play my great grandmother was a Native American card that everybody loves to play, but I mean, it is true. But you know, it's a stain on our country regardless. But
right.
As far as, you know, the Palestinian movement and all that, biblically speaking, that's just the role that these people are playing in the unfolding of what is to come.
So,
it's like
hang on. Let me finish my timeline here and what I'm really getting at here, which is I watched this stuff and I went, oh man, this is just horrible. Hamas, that's a terrorist group. We've always known they're a terrorist group. I kind of view this not for Hamas and Israel and Palestinians. This to them, I think, is more of a holy war than how we're viewing it, which is a land war. You know what I mean?
Correct.
This is a war over ideology more than it is a war over geography. So what's really getting under my skin lately, though, is I'm seeing all this anti-Semitism come out of the colleges and all these protests and by the way, we're going to go back to this again. They are becoming violent protests. But I saw a man that was chased in his car because he tried to drive through a protest and they maced him, and he was an old man, you know, and there's some 20-something-year-old kid macing this guy and chasing him down the street. Yeah, you leave that guy alone. That's not a peaceful protest. But
this generation has no concept of consequences. They have no respect.
This is something that yeah, and this is something that I said last night to a friend of mine. By the way, I don't want a war. I don't want to see our American kids go off to war. I don't want to see people die. I don't want to see Americans die. But I know there's a lot of buzz about, hey, we might have a draft. And I kind of went, well, you know what? That might be a good thing for a lot of these 20-somethings. It might teach them a worldview that everything is not what you think it is. That said, I'm off. By the way, I'm all for what the Israelis do as far as you turn 18 and you're gonna serve 3 years regardless. I think we should. Yeah, I think we should have that anyways. But that's just me. I grew up in a military family, and I think a lot of my views come from growing up in a military family. So, I'm pointing out the hypocrisy here of the same people that scream Black Lives Matter, and everybody's oppressed, and all this racism. Regardless of the argument that you have with them, it always goes back to you're a racist. And you called me for being a Trump supporter in 2016. You called me a Nazi for 4 to 6 years because I voted for a guy. And it turns out that you were the true anti-Semite. You were the true racist. You were the one that hates the Jews because you don't care that there's people being beheaded with a hoe, with a garden tool. You don't care. You're on their side because you think that Israelis are colonists that took over land 75 years ago. By the way, they were moved there 75 years ago because there was a German guy that didn't like Jews.
Did you watch that video I sent you from on Jeff Durbin?
Which one was that one?
Where he was talking about
Is that the three guys sitting around the table?
Yeah.
I watched both the videos this morning.
Yeah. What did you think about that? Since we're on the subject of talking about being, the nation of Israel as it is today.
Well, see, that's one of those things where I'm not as knowledgeable, and I'm listening to a lot of different people and their viewpoints. And that's why I'm not attacking people for their viewpoints. I'll attack you because you, and I mean, verbally or mentally, whatever. I'm not talking about physically, but for your views of, everybody was a Nazi because they voted for Trump, but you're out there screaming death to the Jews. I'll call that out all day long. As I go back to the geography of it all, man, it is so complicated that I can't keep it all straight. I do know that can you show me Palestine on a map?
I saw the best meme this week that someone said it's a picture of this big room that's completely empty, and it was called the History of Palestine Museum.
I'm not ripping on the Palestinians either.
No.
I feel really bad for what is happening to them. However, as I said to my son, because he's somewhat left leaning, I said to him, I'm like, dude, I don't know where you stand on all this, and I don't even really care. But I can tell you this, that what Hamas did to those people that day is
Evil.
What was it? Yeah, it's just straight evil. You can't defend it. And I went, they knew exactly what the response was going to be. I think your head is in the sand, or you just you watch the Kardashians more than anything else. If you don't realize that the Israelis are hardcore fighters. They're hardcore fighters.
They're surrounded by all their enemies.
Well, I mean, I look back to, you ever seen the movie called The Sword of Gideon?
I don't recall that.
Go look that up. It's called The Sword of Gideon. And it's about, you remember how the Israeli team was attacked at Munich during the Olympics, right?
Yes, I do know that event.
All right. So the Israelis formed a special forces team essentially to root out the terrorists that did it and just kill them. That was it. It wasn't to we need to talk to them or any. No, we're just going to find you and kill you. And
1986.
sort of Gideon.
Maybe it's on Tubi. I'll find it.
Yeah, it's a good movie. You might even find it on YouTube. But anyways, there I just think that speaks to their mentality when it comes to fighting and war and all that, which is, and Hamas knows this as well. When they attacked, they knew what was going to happen. That's why they've got the propaganda ready at their fingertips.
Well, I mean, like I said, I don't think there's any debate here between the three of us that what they did was evil. And the fact that they're calling for a genocide in their charter should tell the rest of the world that they're evil. And the last nation that was all about genocide, well, we all went to war over it.
Right.
So,
But
again, I think it's a trap. I think if we're kind of damned if we do and we're damned if we don't, because Iran has to be dealt with. I don't know, that ideology will never get snuffed out unless, I mean, you just start carpet bombing, nukes in Iran, which even that will not take care of the problem. You're going to kill more of freedom loving people than you would, I think.
Stepping away from the propaganda of the mainstream media, what do you think is the reason that Egypt and the neighboring countries don't want to allow the Palestinians to flee into their country?
Because they're bringing, potentially bringing in terrorists into their own. I mean, it's just that simple.
That's my opinion as well. But, I just wanted to hear if maybe somebody else believed a little differently. I mean, we all know that we got wide open borders here. So,
I just watched a video. I can't think of the guy's name. It's Jim something. He has a former CIA woman who was in Pakistan, and anyway, she just basically said they're catching these people as they're coming across the border, not from South America. They're catching.
Oh yeah, no,
they're catching
terrorists. They're catching terrorists
on our southern border.
Yeah,
just imagine how many they've missed.
Well, let me tell you on a side note how I think that one plays out.
I want to look up this video and share it in the chat. You got to watch it.
You remember San Bernardino, the San Bernardino shooter? Not we all, the Democrats all wanted to blame it on guns when the guy was clearly going, no, he didn't say terrorists, but we're religious zealots, essentially. They had their reason for doing it. It didn't have anything to do with the guns. They would have got guns regardless. And that's kind of where I think letting all these terrorists in over the southern border is going to go next. I think you're going to see more San Bernardinos. I don't want to see any of that happen. I remember growing up in the 80s in a country that was pretty safe. I mean, and we were all, I'm going to say we were all pretty stupid. We didn't have to worry about what was going on in the Middle East because we paid people to do that for us.
I just pasted that link. I think there's a part 1 and a part 2. I think I just did the part 2. I think the part 2 is where she's talking about how our wide open, how they're purposefully sending people through our open southern border. The terrorists, Al-Qaeda, they're all sending people purposefully through our southern border. And she talks about how well organized that they are.
Hey, if you heard that there was a back door into Disneyland and you could just walk in and they give you free food and everything, we can kick you out. Would you do it?
Yeah, but you still have to pay for the fast pass. I don't know.
I'm glad we can look at this one.
Very serious
subject.
You would. And my real rub with what's going on right now is that we have a large group. I don't think they're a majority. I think they're a minority, but they're very loud. But a large group of anti-Semitic kids that we've taught to be anti-Semitic in college.
Sure.
They haven't picked up a history book. They only know what their professor told them. And
Marxist teachers.
Yeah, they got Marxist teachers. I mean, I saw a video on X of a teacher who was in a hijab, which I don't have a problem. I mean, look, I am a constitutionalist first when it comes to being an American. I'm a constitutionalist first, because if I don't respect that Constitution and her right to wear a hijab and believe what she wants to believe, then I don't have the right myself to believe what I want to believe. Okay, so I'm not picking on anybody for being Muslim or anything like that. However, she read a poem that one of her 13-year-old students wrote that was clearly, I mean, there was no doubt about it. It wasn't hyperbole or anything like that. Calling for the exterminations of Jews in Israel. And she read it. The class applauded. This is American school. The class applauded, or no, sorry, it was Canadian, I think, but you get the gist. The class applauded, and she praised that kid for writing that poem. If that's not indoctrination, I don't know what is.
Well, the problem, we are so soft. You know, our nation is so weak. We have weak men.
What's that saying? Weak men create hard times create strong men, strong men create weak men, or something like that.
Yeah, create good times create hard men.
Yeah. I think we're getting to that point.
We're there.
Where we're going to start creating some strong men again, because especially if there's a draft.
You've seen the videos of these kids talking about, I ain't got time to be drafted. I've got stuff to do.
Yeah.
And there's the one saying, I'm going to go hide out in the woods. I'm like, buddy, you can't survive without a cell phone. How are you going to hide in the woods?
I'll give
you a week without Wi-Fi, buddy.
Well, you know, it's like I'm going to dip back into that Joe Rogan album. It's on the same album where he's got a bit about, you know, we aren't smart people. We got some smart people among us that make us think we're smart. We know how to use a cell phone, but he's like, how do you make a cell phone? I have no idea. You know, well, you know, you're living out in the woods and here comes a bear. What are you going to do? I'm going to shoot the bear. Well, what are you going to do when you're out of bullets? You know how to make a bullet? No idea. No idea. We're all just gonna, you know,
but I'll make a TikTok video of the bear eating me.
Yeah. When the power goes out, we all just stand around and wait for the power to come back on, because none of us know how to do it. There's only a few of us that do. So,
I hate to say it, but I think there
it is,
all according to plan. I hate to say it.
It certainly appears so. It certainly appears so, doesn't it? Like this was a plan in the making for, I don't know, 50, 60 years.
We have lost our biblical worldview at all.
Well,
you know, the Bible says that Satan comes to kill, steal, and destroy. And we have lost our biblical worldview. The Ronald Reagan, who went after Russia, made all these peace agreements and all that with Russia. He never trusted them because they were evil. And we have lost what evil is and what evil looks like. And a person that grew up in the faith, that believes in the Bible, I know what evil is because the Bible tells me so. And then when I saw the attacks on October 7th like this, I knew that was evil, and evil needed to be attacked. You know, a lot of people, you know, those Hamas people that, you know, they're just trying to defend themselves or whatever. And these kids in high school that are, you know, talking about free Palestine and, you know, supporting Hamas, you know, They have no idea who evil is and what Hamas would do to them.
Right. Now, this is one of the parts where I go, well, you can have your view and all that. I think you can support the Palestinian people without supporting Hamas.
You are correct. I would agree with that.
Okay. I mean, they're dealing with some stuff that you and I cannot wrap our heads around. And I feel for them. That's really bad. I wish that they could, migrate up to or over to, I don't know where it is, Egypt or, wherever they can go. I hope the innocent people can get out of there. But that Gaza Strip, man, that's run by Hamas, and that is who Israel's coming after. They ain't coming after the Palestinians. They're coming after Hamas.
Yes. But the thing is, though, the Palestinian people let Hamas take power.
Exactly.
It's sort of like, I apologize to my kids. I'm sorry I didn't teach you well enough. You would know what, politician to vote for and what it looks like. We have a president in this state that I believe that doesn't like America, how America is built.
But
or let's put it like this, a former president that's still running things that didn't like America. And it's my problem that I didn't go out and teach these young kids what wrong is, what's right and what's wrong. Palestine let Hamas take power eventually. It didn't happen overnight. It was like the frog in the boiling in the water. That's what happened. And we have not, it happens. And again, this is why this country is in the state it is. We have allowed people that didn't love America or whatever to take power.
What do you think of this? Because we're Gen Xers. And like I said, we grew up in the 80s under Reagan. And we didn't have to worry about, what was besides Russia, what was our biggest foe at the time? It was the terrorists from Libya, right? Look at Back to the Future, the Libyan terrorists, because that was the big thing at the time. And I love that story where, I simple it down, I dumb it down, which is, you had these Libyan terrorists. They were blowing up discotheques in Germany and all over the place where they knew American servicemen would be. And, at first Reagan was like, hey, yeah, you probably don't want to do that. Could you stop? And they did it again. And you're like, come on, man. You need to stop that. And then they did it again. And he's like, all right, now I'm getting a little upset. You need to stop, or there's going to be consequences. And they did it again. And then he just flew over in the middle of the night, bombed the crap out of the country. And the servicemen were home by morning for their cornflakes.
Now, put a missile through Gaddafi's window, if I'm not mistaken.
Right. Yeah. Killed one of his babies. Now, I did hear a story, and I can't find it now, so I don't know if it was true or not, but it's a great ending to that story, which is when Saddam was predicting the mother of all wars, he called Gaddafi up and said, hey, you're with me on this, right? And he said, no, I got spanked. I already know how that ends. And Libya was not part of that war, if you remember.
Yeah.
So we were a stronger country, but to your point, Aaron, we all grew up in a country, like I said, where we paid people to worry about what was going on in the world, and we got to go out and have fun and enjoy the wealth of this country. And
I'm trying to say we were the frogs.
No, I'm trying to say that we let our kids down because our parents let us down because we became complacent.
Okay.
And now we got a bunch of stupid kids out there. And I said it, stupid kids, because they don't know what's going on. That are screaming that Queers for Palestine. That is the most ridiculous thing I've
I
ever
was
heard
just-
in my life.
I was just about to say something about that. I'm like, do you understand? They don't like you.
Do you understand that they're looking at your picture, laughing
Yes.
at you? Going,
love
look at these people.
I saw a meme yesterday or day before on X that had the Queers for Palestine
Yeah.
at the top, and the next photo below it was them throwing someone off a building.
Well, I thought you were going to tell me about the meme that had Queers for Palestine up at the top, and then underneath it had chickens for KFC.
Well, there's another one they did, like cows for steak.
Yeah. I mean, this is
Yeah.
ridiculous. I mean,
Dumb.
you can be mad at me for calling the kids stupid, but that's pretty stupid. It's pretty stupid. I had a
slaughter, baby.
I had a conversation with a Somali Muslim, a few of them, because we had some working for us in Salt Lake City, and we were talking about. Now, I let me back up a little bit. There was an Iraqi Muslim that I worked with. I really liked that guy. He was on Saddam's security detail. He told me, he's like, dude, I was living the life, man. I had everything. And I said, well, dude, you're over here now with your family making $7 an hour. What's that about? And he said, well, when the Americans came in, I had a choice, which was come here or die. And so then I talked to him about a story that had broke at that time where another a Muslim in California, or not in California, in America, did an honor killing on his own daughter.
Yeah, I kind of
And I said,
remember that.
Yeah. And I said, well, what do you think of this? And he goes, it's so wrong. And he goes, let me tell you why it's wrong. He goes, if my daughter becomes westernized, that's my fault for bringing her here and not teaching her what's right. He goes, shouldn't have killed his daughter. It's his fault that he didn't bring his daughter up to respect their beliefs, basically. But these Somali Muslims, they're some hardcore people. I'm not saying all of them. I'm just saying the ones that I knew. They were some hardcore people. And this guy I was talking to, he was telling me, yeah, we kill all the gays. We kill them in Somalia. I went, well, why? And he said, because it's not acceptable. It's not acceptable. We kill them. And we were both out there smoking a cigarette at the time, and he was going into some detail about it. And when we were done smoking, he tossed a cigarette down and he said, yeah, that's illegal in Somalia too. You can't smoke. And I thought that was a huge point. They just don't care. They will do what they want to do. They don't care. These people don't care. Hamas doesn't care. And a lot of the people in the streets in America right now that are protesting freedom for Palestine or whatever it is that they're protesting, I think they're misguided. They don't realize that we're talking about a terrorist organization, not the Palestinians of Hamas. We're talking about a terrorist organization that brings their children up to believe that dying is a good thing because you get to go to heaven. And so being a martyr is even better. They value death the way we value life. And these people out in the streets don't get it.
So as we wrap this thing up, about 5 more minutes, where do we go from here? What happens now? You know, what in our crystal ball, what do we think happens now?
P-Funk, I'll let you go first.
Well, I think we're going to have war with Iran.
Okay.
We've got too many people pushing for it. Lindsey Graham, his Halliburton and Raytheon stock, you need to triple and double so he can make.
I better I better get on stash real fast here.
Yeah. I think it's got to happen, and I think it's going to happen. Like I said, I think the problem right now on the world stage is they're doing all these things to make Israel and the United States look like a bunch of war criminals. That's the plan. That's what they're doing. Even though it's very clear that Hamas did some pretty heinous and evil things, just to destabilize Israel's peace plans in the Middle East. That was the sole purpose of it. I think we will be in a war. We'll be in a war with Iran. I hope we can negotiate our way out of the issue in Ukraine. But I think really the winner in all this will be China sometime after the first of the year by trying to invade Taiwan. I think it's
Well, why do you
they're all trying.
why do you think Gavin?
Huh?
Why do you think our governor Gavin Newsom spent a week out there?
Just to prove that we are weak and idiots.
Well, I mean, and he came back and he said we need to work with them. They're good people. They're all. It was 100% China as far as Gavin Newsom was concerned.
Well, I mean, there's a saying: we keep our enemies,
Yeah,
our enemies close, and so again. But Reagan worked with Russia, but he never trusted them.
Okay.
He knew they were evil. Now, do I think Gavin Newsom thinks the people of China are nice people and not evil people? Yes, he's that dumb. Again, if I was president, I would work with China, but I would never trust them at all.
You're talking about Gavin Newsom, who cares only about one person,
himself.
That's Gavin Newsom.
People, me, myself, and I.
Yeah, exactly. And honestly, I don't bring people's kids into politics, so I'm not going to do that here. But I don't think he'd care one bit if his wife left him. I don't think he'd care one bit if Aunt Nancy didn't talk to him again, except for the fact that he needs her to get into power because she pulls all the strings. Yes, if anybody doesn't know, Gavin Newsom is Nancy Pelosi's nephew.
Yeah.
I know they try to hide it. That. Yeah, they try to hide it, but it's the truth.
Yeah. Now, what do you think, Dave? I mean, what happens next? I mean, do you think we end this?
I think we're in the back seat, man. That's really what I think. I think you got a bunch of power hungry, money hungry, greedy individuals in Washington, D.C. that are going to do what is in their best interest, not the interest of the people they represent or the people in Gaza or the people in Israel or the people in Iran or anywhere else in the world.
This is what I think is going to happen. I don't think the Matt Gaetz and Chip Roys in the House will fund a war to Iran. Lindsey Graham does not control the purse because he's in the Senate and the House does. And so do I think we'll end up attacking Iran at some point? Maybe for a little bit because the president can declare war, for 30 days or 60 days. I don't know what I think we will do that to kind of say, hey, this is just the start. If you continue.
Well,
let me finish here.
Yeah, sure.
I think Israel will take out Hamas. I mean, it will. And again, there may be some European countries that get all upset, like you killed all these innocent people. But they're having problems with Middle Easterners in their own country right now.
Right.
And so again, they will be the only reason they'll be squawking is to appease them so they don't have riots on their hands. But again, I think Israel is very, very serious this time about really damaging Hamas and the Palestinian people, unfortunately.
Well, I think that people are missing this because maybe it's not a huge story, but these European countries that were, under Obama and Trump taking in, just about everybody, are now tightening up their borders and talking about deportation.
Yeah, it could.
And what does that tell you? That tells you that they know something's happening right now.
True. If there's an attack on American soil, whoever's in power will be gone. I mean, that's just
what do you mean? What do you mean?
Yeah,
it's a
well,
matter of time.
What do you,
If-
no,
if they-
wait, let's back up. What do you mean by be gone?
well, I mean, if they're attack, they will be out of power.
Who?
Biden and the Democrats or whatever.
So
Whoever.
you think if there's an attack on American soil that plunges his approval rating?
Oh,
Is that what you're saying?
yes, and a lot
Okay.
of other Democrats too. You know,
I get it. I'm just trying to.
You could see Democrats in California running for U.S. Senate that do not get elected. That Republicans win. Schumer losing in New York because he has allowed the southern border just to be, non-existent. I think that happens if that happens. But again, I think as we just said earlier in the podcast, we're catching these people as they come through, and I think we're catching a lot more that we're just not talking about because they don't want to tell us how bad it really is. And then lastly, what I think happens is they will make a deal to give more money to Ukraine under the understanding there will be a peace agreement. Those who are in power in the House now, who control the purse, will make a deal because they want to help Israel. They will help Ukraine, saying a peace deal, no more money, and a peace deal now.
Yeah.
And I think we'll have a peace deal in Ukraine.
Well,
And again,
I think
I have no opinion on what's going to happen with China and Taiwan. They have threatened for quite a while that they will try to invade Taiwan, but haven't. So I don't know what happened. And I hear mixed signals back and forth how much China really does have and money and support to do that.
well,
So
let me put my my cherry on all of this.
go ahead.
Which is I think what you're really seeing is when you don't have a strong leader in place, and we don't. I don't care what you think about Trump. I don't care what you think about Obama, and I don't care what you think about Bush or what's his name, Clinton. Okay, think what you want about any of them. They were all pretty strong leaders. Obama was a little wishy-washy, but in comparison to Biden, Obama was Reagan as far as strength. Okay. We got a guy in office right now. I'm not even sure, and I'm being 100% serious. I'm not even sure he has an idea of what is going on at the moment.
No.
And I don't mean like he doesn't know where he's at. I mean, like, he doesn't understand the gravity of what is going on. I don't think he understands that we're at the verge of World War III. I don't think he gets it. Okay. And he surrounded himself with people like the luggage stealing, whatever that was. Okay. Those are the people that he's got in his cabinet.
Well, that person was a little far off from the cabinet.
I get it, but they are what do they call those things? They're diversity hires. That's what I was looking for.
Yes.
They're diversity hires. Okay. They're not strong leaders. We need strong leaders. I'm trying to think of a Democrat that I don't like. Well, Nancy Pelosi. She's a strong leader. I don't like her. I don't like her.
Sober.
Huh?
When she's sober.
Yeah, when she's sober. And not eating yogurt. What is it about Democrats, yogurt, and ice cream? Man, let them eat ice cream.
It's to attract children. Don't kid yourself.
Yeah. So that's a whole other, maybe we should do a show about Joe's attraction to children. Yeah. Anyways, but that's my thing. I think you're witnessing what happens when you don't elect a strong leader. And say what you want. Who are the most powerful? What are the most powerful positions in the world at the moment? You're talking about Russia, the leader of Russia, the leader of America, and the leader of China. That's what we're talking about, right? Those are the most powerful people in the world right now.
I'd say the central bankers are
Okay, but I'm talking politically speaking,
politically. Yeah.
in position, and we got a wobbly wheel here. You know what I mean? We got a wobbly wheel, and we got 1 year left of this wobbly wheel, and we have the opportunity to fix the cart, or I don't know, continue to push it around Walmart with a wobbly wheel and complain about how we always get the cart with the wobbly wheel.
I don't know, man. I'm leaning in a more negative direction because there are times I have hope. Whether you like him or love him, Matt Gaetz, I like him a lot. I don't, I just don't see Trump being on the ballot. If he makes it on it, that'll be a surprise. But I think it'll all be write-ins. It'll all be write-ins for him.
Yeah. Here's my feeling on the Trump thing. And I think, Aaron, you're a Trump supporter, right?
Yeah, if the election were happening today, I'd be voting for DeSantis in the primary.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm a DeSantis guy. I have been a DeSantis guy for a long time. And one of the biggest reasons was he is a no nonsense, we're doing this type of guy. And honestly, I don't want 4 more years of the chaos of Trump.
You've been watching those ads I was telling you about last time.
No, I felt this way for a long time, but he brings chaos with him. Some people just surround themselves with chaos. They need it. And he's one of those guys that needs that kind of chaos.
It's the show.
It's a reality show for him. I think his policies were great. I prospered under Trump. You want to know who else I prospered under? Clinton. And my mom didn't prosper so much under Reagan, but looking back, we were doing far better than I am right now. So, I don't care if you're Republican, Democrat, whatever. I want you to work for me. That's why I hired you. And I think we need to start looking at elections as interview and hiring processes instead of chaos and reality shows.
I just think
I can't
go ahead.
that.
Yeah. Just a final thought here. I think you're correct with that. I mean, I just want someone to get stuff done and help the American people
and fix my Live Nation fees.
Yeah, fix your Live Nation fees. Final thoughts, Patrick?
Well, since we've been talking a lot about Israel, I think everybody's throwing, there's a lot of end of days talk and tribulation and whatnot. I want to end on this thought. A lot of Christians get hung up on the tribulation and all that, and I think we lose sight of the fact, and feel free to disagree with me, the tribulation has nothing to do with the church. It has everything to do with Israel acknowledging the Messiah and breaking that stiff neck and bringing them to the knee to accept the Messiah. That's what the tribulation is about, the restoration of the nation of Israel. So we didn't get to talk about the Jeff Durbin thing in detail. So I would disagree with him on that. Yeah, it's not a Christian nation. It's not they have their issues as well. They are a sinful nation.
Right.
Because they have not accepted the Messiah, their Messiah. And that's what the tribulation and all that's going to be about. I think as Americans, we need to be prepared for the worst, because obviously if this is the end, we're not mentioned. We're not a part of the last days. So I think we need to be preparing. Of course, I'm I believe in pre-trib, but I'll settle for mid. And but expect the best, prepare for the worst. But I think we got to be smart about this. I have no faith in our politicians, none whatsoever, right or left. I like a few, but I think the next 2 years is just going to be complete chaos. I think it's going to be chaos if they deny Trump to be on the ballot. I think we'll be in a civil war 2 years tops.
Wow. That's the final thought. So, Dave, you got anything?
That's what Hecklefish told me.
Yeah, hecklefish.
It's the lizard
Well,
people.
This will be my final thought since P-Funk brought up hecklefish and the Y files, which is he did a show about how every 6,000 years civilization resets. The old civilization dies off and the new civilization starts from scratch, essentially. It's a theory. And he said, we're coming up on that 6,000 year mark. And I'm kind of interested in seeing if that theory becomes reality.
Have you ever, and I know we're trying to wrap this up, but are you familiar with Graham Hancock? He's on Rogan a lot.
No, I don't think I've heard his name.
Graham Hancock, he's got a series on Netflix called Ancient Apocalypse or something like that.
Okay.
It's worth looking into. It's very interesting.
Okay. I've seen the Ancient Apocalypse, but I just moved on from it because I figured it was one of those UFO things, and I that's not one of my conspiracy theories. I'm not fascinated with UFOs.
Well, it's funny we hadn't talked about it, but anyways, to stay on topic, Graham Hancock talks about the Great Flood and everything, how there's we're missing a civilization.
Right.
The history, our history is wrong because we're missing history after the Great Flood. And it's very interesting. And he talks about how every culture has a flood myth. Yeah. As a Christian, you should take some time and just to listen to what he's. I'm not saying he's right.
But it's just a theory.
It is a theory, but
that's
there's truth to it.
That's one of the theories is the flood was the Great Reset. Yeah. And not the Great Reset that we're talking about, that's happening right now. Yeah. I'm talking about the worldwide reset of civilization and where it starts over again. And someone else brought something up, which was, people don't think that our civilization can deteriorate and everything. And it absolutely can. Our society can. And they said, well, what my friend was like, what I found really interesting about this was when Rome fell, they were pretty much at the point that we're at right now, which is accept all, do whatever you want, Caligula, the whole thing. And everybody was fighting over, trans and gay, and you could do whatever you wanted. And by the way, you go back to being a constitutionalist, and I'm an American. You could do whatever you want. Okay, as long as it's legal and in the Constitution. Okay, I may not agree with it, but I support your right to do it. But once we have passed this line, and we've passed it, where it's like, I thought of this over Halloween, and this will be my final thought. We'll wrap it up after I say this.
And one more thing.
Yeah. I saw this. So I was in Reno for the Halloween weekend, right? And I saw an awful lot of adult versions of nuns and priests and things like that, costumes like that. Jesus costumes, all focused towards our religion. I didn't see one Muslim costume or anything like that. And it made me wonder, Why is it okay to mock Christians, but it's not okay to mock anyone else's religions or beliefs? And when I say beliefs, I mean the beliefs of
Their faith.
Men
Their
can
faith.
men can be women, and women can be men,
Okay.
regardless of what the science is.
Yeah.
Or the beliefs of whatever. Okay, whatever your beliefs are. I'm not just talking religion. Why is that okay? Why is it okay to mock the Christians, but no one else? And I think that says a lot. Don't answer. It's rhetorical. Go think about it. Okay. But why is that okay to mock the Christian and Catholic faith, but it's not okay to mock anybody else? I think it says a lot.
Hey, as we wrap this up, I just want to say last Friday I had a great opportunity to see a great movie, a really good movie documentary, if that's your thing.
Police State?
It's called After Death.
Oh,
it's by Angel Studios, which has given us The Chosen. So if you go into the theater or looking for a movie, it's called After Death. It's a documentary. It's not really, documentaries aren't my thing, but it's great to see that. Just a point, it was a really good movie. Please support Angel Studios After Death. And so please, Police State. I heard some great things about that. So check that out. I think you can view it at home on Rumble, whatever, for a fee, whatever.
Yeah.
So what was that Netflix series again you talked about from Hancock? The Apocalypse?
Yeah, just
Okay.
search for Graham
Ancient.
Hancock.
Hancock. Okay.
Ancient
Grand-
Apocalypse.
Angel Apocalypse.
Ancient.
Ancient.
Something
I'm
like
sorry.
something like
I'm
that.
sorry.
Anyways, it's really
So-
good. It's not something you're gonna be able to sit there and play on your phone and while you're watching. You're gonna have to. I hate to say it, this generation, you're gonna have to pay attention.
Yeah. And your Substack is PFunk 1975. Is that correct?
Mhm.
The
Yep.
Substack. So please check that out. I know
And
we've
Faith
been,
Head.
yeah, Faith Head and the bands.
Got a new single
and,
dropping.
Okay.
What's the next
is
single?
It's called Abberrations of Reality.
Man.
Well, we got Aberrations of Reality right now.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
Yeah, we're gonna be
You-
canceled on this one.
Yeah.
Well, the
This
thing
next
is though,
album-
it's whether when you guys wrote and produced When Dominoes Fall, we're like,
watching the dominoes fall
we're
right now.
watching it right now.
Hey,
I don't want to listen to no more because
I
you're being prophetic in your writing.
I don't want people to think that this is what the show's becoming. No, we're still a music show. I had this stuff on my mind about mostly about the people that are calling for the extermination of Jews while calling me a Nazi. That was really what's on my mind, and I had to get it off my chest because you're a hypocrite.
Just
I
an
said it.
aberration of reality.
Yeah, you're a hypocrite. You're out there protesting in support of Hamas while you call me a Nazi because I voted for somebody. So you pack up your rhetoric and go on home to your mom's basement and go
Yeah.
away.
Yeah, you're not gonna like the new album.
But
We're-
that's
We're going
okay.
after every ism that there is.
All
Well, that's great. Well,
All right,
thank
let's-
you for coming on, and
you
please,
guys for
people,
having
check out faithhead.com, right?
Correct.
Faithhead.com and Substack and all those things and those movies and shows we told you about.
Listen,
I'm sure
Listen,
you'll
I
enjoy.
appreciate you guys every time y'all think about me and have me on. I do appreciate it. I do enjoy it. I wish I could have hope. It's like everything's going to be all right. Well, if you're safe, it is going to be all right. But if you're
Yes.
not, well, you're screwed.
And
that's
that
how
is
it's
important,
been.
though.
Hey,
I'm going to tell our audience that is important. If you are not a Christian or whatever, you don't have to read God's word. It'll give you peace.
well,
Read God's word.
if you are a Christian though,
Yeah.
not that I believe in death, I believe in life, but then if this truly is the apocalypse, there's something brighter on the other side.
That's
You know what
true. So we just
One last
pray.
question. Do you know what the meaning of apocalypse is?
No.
Do you know what it actually means?
What does it mean?
the awakening.
Interesting. All right. With that, I'm going to leave. Happy trails.
Happy trails.
Thanks, guys.